The settlement of New Horizons sprawled across the rust-colored plains of Kepler 442b like a collection of metallic blisters against the alien landscape. Each dome housed a different species, a testament to the Galactic Council's ambitious integration project. Natalie Chun had been assigned Dome 7, sandwiched between a Vraxian engineer named Kelthor and a Zinthari merchant collective. The atmospheric dome was standard issue, a translucent energy barrier projected from ground-level emitters, designed to maintain breathable air and protect against the planet's violent dust storms. Natalie studied the blueprints on her first day, her dark eyes scanning the structural specifications with practiced scrutiny. "The load distribution is inefficient," she muttered, tracing her finger along the holographic display. Kelthor, her Vraxian neighbor, had overheard. His chitinous faceplates clicked together in what Natalie had learned was laughter. The sound reminded her of rocks tumbling in a dryer. "Human, you question council engineering?" Kelthor's translator device rendered his words in flat, emotionless standard. His four eyes blinked in sequence. "These domes have protected settlements for 3 centuries. Perhaps focus on unpacking your primitive belongings, yes?" Natalie offered a tight smile. "Just making observations." But observations turned into calculations, and calculations turned into certainty. The dome's single-layer emitter ring created a uniform barrier, but Kepler 442b's atmospheric pressure fluctuated wildly during storm season. The specs showed the domes could handle it, but barely. There was no redundancy, no fail-safe. That was how humans had survived Earth, always building in redundancy, always planning for failure. 3 weeks into her residency, Natalie began construction on a second wall. The project started simply enough. Using her fabricator allotment, she printed support struts and secondary emitter nodes. She positioned them 3 meters inside the primary dome perimeter, creating an inner ring. The work was tedious, requiring her to carefully calibrate each node to harmonize with the existing barrier frequencies without interference. Kelthor watched from his dome's observation portal, his mandibles clicking in amusement. "The human builds a wall inside her wall," he announced over the settlement's open communication channel. "Perhaps she fears her own furniture will attack her." Laughter rippled across multiple channels. Clicks, whistles, harmonic pulses from a dozen different species. Even Michael Torres, the only other human in the settlement, sent her a private message. "Nat, you know they're all talking about you, right? What are you doing?" Michael worked in Dome 15 as an agricultural specialist. They'd met during orientation, bonding over shared nostalgia for Earth's coffee and real weather. He was practical, easygoing, everything Natalie wasn't. "Insurance," she replied curtly. "Against what?" "Murphy's Law." Michael didn't respond. Few non-humans understood Murphy's Law. It wasn't a law of physics or mathematics. It was a law of experience, carved into humanity's collective psyche through millennia of things going wrong. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And if you're not prepared, you die. The second wall took 42 days to complete. Natalie configured it to activate only if the primary barrier showed stress fractures or energy depletion. It wouldn't run continuously. That would drain her power reserves. But it would be there, waiting, ready to catch them all if the universe decided to remind them of their fragility. Kelthor filed a formal complaint with the settlement administrator. "The human's redundant construction wastes resources," his complaint read. "It demonstrates distrust in council engineering and sets a poor example for integration protocols." The administrator, a Belsarian named Kiv with translucent skin and too many limbs, dismissed it. "If she's using her own allotment and not violating safety codes, she can build whatever she wants. Humans are peculiar. Let her have her security blanket." The storm arrived on day 63. Weather satellites had tracked it for weeks. A continental-scale dust storm with wind speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. Standard protocol dictated staying indoors, keeping domes at full power, and waiting it out. The storms were common. The domes were tested. Natalie watched the atmospheric readings from her terminal, her jaw tight. The pressure differentials were worse than predicted, oscillating wildly as the storm's leading edge approached. The dome emitters would have to constantly adjust, cycling through power variations to maintain barrier integrity. "Michael, you seeing these numbers?" she sent. "Yeah. Administration says we're fine. Domes are rated for this." rated for sustained load, not oscillating stress. These fluctuations, Nat. Michael's voice carried gentle exasperation. Trust the engineers. Not everything needs a backup plan. But Natalie had already run the simulations. The emitters would hold, probably. 78% probability. Those were terrible odds when your life depended on them. The storm hit like a hammered, wind-driven dust particles, some sharp as glass, created an eerie shrieking sound as they bombarded the energy barriers. The entire settlement disappeared into a rust-colored maelstrom. Inside Dome 7, Natalie sat at her terminal, monitoring power consumption across all emitter nodes. Dome 4 went first. An emitter node failed, simple mechanical breakdown, a seal that couldn't handle the thermal stress. The barrier flickered, and for 3 terrifying seconds, the dome was exposed before emergency protocols rerouted power. But the damage was done. The sudden load spike cascaded through the emitter network. Natalie watched the power graph spike across her screen. Dome 5. Dome 6. The nodes were overheating, each one pushed beyond design specifications. Then Dome 7's primary barrier began to fail. The alarm was deafening, a pulsing wail that made her teeth ache. Red warnings flooded her display. Primary emitters at 112% capacity. Heat warnings. Structural integrity at 63% and dropping. Her hand moved to the secondary system activation. "Come on," she whispered. "Don't let me down." The second wall powered up instantly. The inner ring of emitters blazed to life, creating a cocoon of stable energy 3 meters inside the failing primary barrier. The load distributed across both systems, neither carrying more than 70% capacity. The primary barrier stabilized. Natalie exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Across the settlement, her secondary system did more than save Dome 7. The power dynamics had created an unexpected resonance effect. Her dual-layer configuration generated a standing wave pattern that actually reduced stress on the adjacent domes. Kelthor's Dome 6 and the Zinthari's Dome 8. Their struggling emitters found equilibrium in her system's harmonic frequencies. The storm raged for 16 hours. When it finally passed, leaving the settlement scoured but intact, Kelthor was the first to contact her. Human Natalie. His voice carried none of its usual condescension. "Your second wall." It stabilized the entire grid. "Murphy's Law," she replied simply. "This. Murphy. He is a human physicist?" Natalie smiled despite her exhaustion. "Something like that." Within 2 days, every dome in New Horizon had begun constructing secondary barriers, following Natalie's specifications. The Galactic Council's engineering division requested her designs for implementation across all frontier settlements. Michael arrived at her dome with a bottle of synth alcohol and 2 cups. "To humanity's paranoia," he toasted, grinning. "To planning for failure," Natalie corrected, clinking her cup against his. Outside, workers installed backup systems across the settlement. Kelthor supervised the construction on his own dome, his mandibles clicking. But this time, Natalie recognized it as something other than laughter. It was respect. Humans, the other species were learning, didn't build for success. They built assuming failure, preparing for catastrophe, always adding one more layer of protection between themselves and the void. It made them strange, certainly. Overcautious. Redundant. It also made them survivors.